Alright, so I got an article here from the Hollywood Reporter. Shocker. Marvel Studios veteran Victoria Alonso exits. Exclusive. I wouldn't exactly call it a shocker. I mean, somebody had to fall on their sword for the underperforming box office receipts from the latest Marvel movies. The TV shows have been underperforming and so on and so forth. Somebody's got to take the blame for it. And there had been talk that, oh, maybe it would possibly be Kevin Feige or whatever. I think he's bulletproof, so to speak, for at least a few more years of failures, just because he's given pretty much all the credit for building it up in the first place. So generally, those people in that kind of situation are going to be given a little more leeway. But anyway, the article goes on. It gives her like her bio and stuff. But as it says here, an enviable 17-year run. And watch the studio grow. She was a co-producer on Iron Man and Cap 1, Iron Man 2, Thor 1, all that stuff. Here's an article from Bounding the Comics, basically about the same thing. Of course, they frame it differently because it's a little more of the truth. Like the Hollywood Reporter, they're a little too magnanimous, I guess, so to speak, to say what the real thing is, because they say their reasons for exit are unclear. Well, yeah, publicly they might say, well, she's going to take time off, she's going to do this. I doubt they would even announce that she's getting fired, as some places are putting it. But anyway, a new report, blah, 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 talks about Ant-Man 3 underperforming and all that stuff. The reasons for the exit are unclear, like I said. But it's like, we know the real reasons because things are just underperforming. Right? If you look at Ant-Man 3, the film has so far grossed only $205 million domestically and $256 million internationally for a global gross of $462.6 million. This past weekend, the film only grossed a little over $4 million domestically, blah, blah, blah. It goes on. It's given its current trajectory, it's unlikely the film will top the unadjusted totals for Ant-Man and the Wasp. That film grossed 216, blah, 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 for a global gross of 623. In fact, it might not even surpass the unadjusted totals for the first Ant-Man film, so without inflation, basically. It grossed 180 domestically, blah, blah, for 518. It's like, that's going to be pretty bad, because it had the best weekend of those, opening weekend of those three, and it's going to end up doing the least amount of money. Anyway, it goes on, and it talks, and stuff about basically how Iger had pointed to the quality of the films and the TV shows being produced under Disney's big brands, talking about how the quality has been low. I mean, he was more upfront and honest than you'll see a lot of CEOs be, but I mean, he's still kind of hinting at and stuff. I think HBO proved it well, in their halcyon days when high quality programming made a big difference and not volume. That's because the streaming platforms require so much volume when it's a question whether that's the right direction to go. Or if you can be more curated, I used the word judicious a few times, but I guess more picky about what you're making and to concentrate on quality and not volume. It goes on. Another factor could be Alonso's comments directed at, Chapek during an appearance at the Glad Media Awards. And she basically, it's the whole don't say gay bill, quote unquote, from Florida and everything. And she was pretty outspoken about that. They mentioned that in the other article, but here another thing, and I'm not saying that this is like the reason, but this is from an article. It's also from Mining the Comics. So when they talked about when she had first gotten promoted, this was a couple years ago, she claims the X-Men name is outdated. She was speaking to Nuke the Fridge. She claimed the team's name was outdated. I don't know where the future is going. It's funny that people call it the X-Men. There's a lot of female superheroes in that X-Men group, so I think it's outdated. It's like, you flipping idiot. Like, seriously, can you be that stupid? Like, I mean, you get X people, but she, that's when she would talk about the mutants or this or that or what. It's just idiocy. It's just lunacy. So it's not surprising that she's out. Like I said, to be honest, it's more surprising that the same hasn't happened to Kathleen Kennedy with Star Wars. Because Star Wars has suffered a more precipitous fall than Marvel. Because the Marvel movies, you could argue, oh, they're either breaking even or they're underperforming by a little bit. Episode 7 of Star Wars made over $2 billion. Episode 9 made a little over $1 billion. I mean, you talk about just cutting half of your damn money off right there. It's ridiculous. But anyway, plus also the TV shows have been underperforming and yada yada, whatever. If it wasn't for like Grogu, Baby Yoda, it's like I don't think anybody would give much of a shit about most of the Star Wars shows. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd say me personally, I'm not seeing a lot of this is anecdotal. I just don't see a whole lot of people going gaga about it. They went crazy for the end of season 2 of The Mandalorian when Luke came back. That was like kind of a cultural touchstone moment, but after that, they just kind of fucked everything up. But anyway, I'll go ahead and wrap this up here. This is just, you know, not too surprising, like I said, but a little bit of a, you know, difference maker. Maybe it's hard to say if it's really going to make the difference. I mean, I think Iger being in charge of Disney is going to have a much bigger influence on the future of Marvel and Disney and stuff than some of these executives leaving. But we'll see. Anyway, I'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you very much for watching and have a good one.